Welcome to all the aspirants of IIT GATE CY and CSIR NET Chemical Sciences exam. So these are the two exams, CY and Chemical Sciences. These both are related to the subject chemistry. And today we have prepared an entire preparation strategy and syllabus breakdown for IIT GATE CY and CSIR NET Chemical Sciences. This entire preparation strategy has been curated by a team of IITians. Let me introduce you to the members. So basically Vardhan Sharma, myself, Pranjal Jangir, Sarthak Kedar, Shruti Goyal, Nishita Avasti, Vishal Kumar, and Rajesh Kumar Marak. So these are the members. Now the question comes, when are the exams going to happen? So tentatively, if we talk, the exam of CSI NET may happen in the last week of December. So if we predict, we have around 70 days to prepare. And we talk about the GATE exam, it has approximately 110 days. It may happen on the 1st or the 2nd of February 2025. So here we can conclude two things, 70 days for CSI NET Chemical Sciences exam and 110 days for GATE exam. And the notification and form filling has got over for the GATE exam. It is being conducted by IIT Roorkee. We will be discussing later in the video that how and what can we expect in the GATE exam, what questions and what will be the level. We will be discussing the entire thing. So now first we come to the key pattern difference between the CSIR NET and GATE exam. So if we talk about CSIR NET and GATE exam, the first thing in GATE exam is it has 65 questions and 100 marks, whereas CSIR NET exam has 120 questions, out of which 75 can be attempted. So it is a choice-based exam. It is a choice-based exam, whereas you don't have any choice, no choice in GATE. And when we move further, both the exams have a percentage of aptitude in the exam. If we see here also, it is 15 marks out of total 100 marks. And here also, if we talk, it's around 30 marks out of 240. This is the total percentage. If we calculate, it will be like very less, but the contribution of aptitude is there in both the exams. The one major difference which is in both the exams is in GATE exam, we get NATs, MCQ and MSQ. So it is basically collection of NATs, MCQ and MSQ. Whereas in this CSI NET exam, you will only get the MCQs. Okay. So basically here you are sure that all questions will be MCQs. But here we can't predict which question will come in NAT, which will be MCQ and which will be the MSQ. Both have negative marking. Here, 25 questions of main subject are from 1 markers and 30 questions are from 2 markers. This is talking about the chemistry subject. And there are 15 marks aptitude, all will be MCQs, 5 1 markers and 5 2 markers. If we talk about the negative marking again, the 1/3 is for 1 mark and 2/3 is for 2 marks. Now talking about the negative marking in CSIR exam, it is 1/4 of the marks given in all the sections. Now what should we conclude and keep in mind? The basic thing we should conclude and keep in mind is that GATE is an exam of accuracy and speed. If we say what is the GATE exam, it's the exam of accuracy and speed. Whereas CSIR NET exam is based on the question selection. Because it is a choice-based exam, you need to understand that which question you need to attempt and which question you don't need to attempt, you can leave it. So the question comes here is, when you are doing a GATE exam, you need to read only 65 questions. Whereas when you are doing the CSIR NET exams, you will have to read 120 questions in CSIR NET exam. You don't need to attempt all, you can attempt only 75, but at least you have to go through them because you need to find out which question you can attempt and which you can't. Here, you know that you have to attempt all questions, you don't have any choice. So basically, the basic difference is here is, this is a choice-based exam, so you need to choose which question you can attempt and which you can't. Whereas here, there is no option to choose. You need to attempt all the questions. In talking about the accuracy needed in the exam is 75 to 90% is required in a GATE exam because this exam has less number of choices. So you need an accuracy of 75 to 90%. So a 90% accuracy means that if you are attempting 60%, 60 marks question, then you at least should have 55 plus marks. Talking about CSIR marks, CSIR accuracy required. Accuracy is less required in CSIR exam because out of 240 marks, you just need to get approximately 120 marks. So accuracy should be approximately 60 marks, 60%. That will be enough even if you have a 60% accuracy. Then the number of questions that are attempted should be high. Talking about the entire completion of syllabus required. So approximately 85 to 90% syllabus is required to get completed in GATE syllabus. Whereas if you have completed 65 to 70% syllabus for CSIR, that is enough. Moving further, we say that GATE needs precise calculations because NATs need an accurate answer. Okay, accurate answer is required in NATs. But the good thing is that there is no negative marking in NATs and MSQs. So this is a bonus thing which you don't get in CSIR NET. But the main thing is that to give the correct answer of NATs, you should have the proper calculations. Moving further, we can conclude that GATE is an exam based on application and concept. It talks about your basics also. You can get questions from basics also. Even you can get questions from basics in CSIR NET and you do get. But this also requires a memorizing also. The questions come from memorizing unit also here. You can expect the same previous year questions to repeat in net, the same or similar. But in GATE, the pattern may be same of the questions, but they don't repeat. Because every time a new IIT is being organizing the exam, so they don't repeat the exam question paper. The questions are completely different. The concepts may be same, but the questions are completely different. Moving further, we will talk about the entire syllabus breakdown and discussion. So now we'll be discussing is the syllabus of physical chemistry. So basically, while we are discussing the syllabus of physical chemistry, the first unit is quantum chemistry. So basically, when we talk about quantum, most of the people get afraid of quantum. But if I be honest, the first two unit of this quantum chemistry, which involves the postulates, that is the basic postulate operators, particle in a box, tunneling, simple harmonic oscillator, rigid rotor, hydrogen atom. These are very easy in comparison to other units. I understand that the third, fourth, and fifth parts are very difficult. But to be honest, these first two units, you can easily expect the questions from postulates and operator in both the exams, GATE as well as NET exams. Particle in a box is also asked frequently in GATE exam and NET exam. NET exam has many questions which are asked from particle in a box and operators. And talking about further, if we talk about the second unit, that is perturbation and variation method, you can easily find questions from first order and second order perturbation. And you can also find questions regarding SHO perturbation, in which you talk about odd and even function. Here you talk about the odd and even function. So these questions are very frequent. Talking about the first two units, these two units should be done. I will suggest that everyone should try to do these two units, even if you're not able to do the last three, because these two units are very frequently asked and they are easier in comparison to other three units. Moving further, we have Slater determinants. Here you need to prepare an antisymmetric wave function in which you have given a lithium plus or hydrogen helium atom, and you are asked to find the wave function for the antisymmetric part. So basically, this is little complicated. And moving further, you have secular determinants in which there is alpha and beta, resonance energy and Coulombic energy. Moving further, here you talk about Huckel approximation. So major questions are asked from this Huckel approximations. You can find many previous years from this, in which you are asked to find for the pi conjugated system, MOT, pi conjugated system, MOT. So you can find many questions from this, and you need to prepare an entire MOT. For example, butadiene or basically ethene. So you can get questions asking about the highest orbital and the lowest orbital delocalization energy. You can find many questions from this. But still, I suggest everyone should do the first and the second unit. Moving further, you have chemical kinetics. Chemical kinetics also has a big syllabus. Talking about the basic unit is rate loss, in which you talk about orders, half-life, temperature dependence from Arrhenius equations we have, right? So after that, you have complex reactions. In complex reactions, parallel reaction, opposing, consecutive, and elementary. Basically, consecutive reactions questions are many there, where they ask about the maximum concentration, or about the Tmax. They will ask about the maximum concentration or about the Tmax value. So basically, these questions are generally asked from consecutive. And here you know in parallel reaction, that is K1 by K2 is equal to A by B concentration. So basically, these are the questions which are very frequently asked. And these are very easy if you talk about these two. Moving further, we have pre-equilibrium and steady state approximation. Basically, steady state approximation and pre-equilibrium are given when you need to find the rate expression or the rate law for any given reaction. They will give you any reaction and they will ask you to find the rate expression for the reaction. Moving further, you have unimolecular reaction. In this, you get questions from Lindemann theory, and Lindemann theory is a very easy theory. If you prepare it, it's very easy. Moving further, you have potential energy surfaces and classical trajectories. This point syllabus was added very late into the GATE, and you can't find many previous years from this topic. So even if you skip it or you prepare a little about it, then also it will be okay, because there is not much to prepare in this. Moving further, this transition state theory is getting very important nowadays in exams, and you should prepare this very properly, in which you have one loose vibration. You talk about loose vibration in this. So basically, these questions are nowadays very frequently asked. Now, if you talk about polymerization itself, it is a very complex topic. And if you plan to skip it, you can skip it or prepare at the last moment. Before that, you should focus on the transition state theory, the rate loss, the complex reaction. So basically, part one, part two, fourth, and the sixth. After that, enzyme catalysis is one of the major questions which is asked. This is the very important topic, enzyme catalysis, in which you have this constant, Michaelis-Menten constant, which is denoted by Km. So basically, this is a very important topic and you need to prepare it properly. After that, you have kinetic isotope effect, solution kinetics, in which you have salt effect, diffusion controlled reactions, and fast reactions. These you can prepare if you get time afterwards. You can just check out the formula of the salt effect. It's a very easy formula. If you check about the formula, it's good. That will be enough. Just see the formula. It depends on the ionic strength, and the rest it's easier. Now the last unit is photochemistry. Because basically, it is the photochemistry unit in which you need to understand which is allowed transition, which is allowed, and which is not allowed. So basically, here this is a very easier if you understand that which is allowed transition and which is not allowed transition. What is fluorescence and what is phosphorescence? So basically, here I will suggest you to do one thing. Again, if I erase the board and tell, wait. Basically, if I suggest you, you can do is do this. If you are talking about the consecutive reaction, you will get the topic of steady state approximation in that also. Moving further, you should know the curves of the concentration curves with time for consecutive reactions. You have conditions K1 is greater than K2 or K2 is greater than K1. Moving further, you can also prepare transition state theory. Here, enzyme catalysis is important, and photochemistry and salt effect question, only equation. So basically, these are the things I will suggest you to do. Moving further, we have electrochemistry. Electrochemistry is a very elementary and easy topic. You don't expect very difficult questions from this. You just need to understand that from ionic equilibrium, you have a concept of KSP. You need to study the solubility also. If you are understood the solubility, then you can attempt many questions from electrochemistry, because nowadays they ask the questions of solubility in electrochemistry only. You should also study the electrode potential and thermodynamic equality, quantities relation. This is very important nowadays. Plus, talking about conductance unit here, it's like basic conductivity. What is ionic mobility? The Weber limiting law. That is the equation lambda naught is equal to lambda infinity minus k under root c. You can also expect questions from potentiometric or conductometric titrations, but they are very rare to find the questions. And basically, conductometric has many types of reactions. Potentiometric is still easier. Conductometric, you need to spend some time, and you should check this because you can expect the questions in GATE 2025 from conductometric, if I say. Talking about the last unit, that is electroanalytical methods. So here, if I suggest you, you should at least study what is polarography and cyclic voltammetry. Okay, you should at least study what is polarography and cyclic voltammetry, because polarography is also a type of voltammetry only. The main thing is here is that you have one current, diffusion current formula, ID, which is dependent on 3-4 mass, time, D. So you should check out that formula. I have don't remember the name of the equation. So basically, if you remember that formula, it will be very good. Talking about group theory, the questions from symmetry elements and operations are not asked directly, but point groups are asked. And even in, if you talk about 2024 GATE, which was prepared by IISc, the questions from symmetry elements were many there in MSQs. So basically, now you can expect the symmetry elements also asked directly, but generally they were not asked. But now in last ISC exam, they have asked a lot about the symmetry elements in different molecules. Talking about point groups, you can be asked to find the point groups directly of any molecule, naphthalene or ethene or like any complex molecule also. So you should practice a lot about the point groups. And you should also know that how you design a character table. Like you have many things, term symbols, and which is for rotational, which is for vibrational, and which is for translational. You can find everything from the character table. Further, there is internal coordinates and vibrational modes. So here they can ask you about the parallel and perpendicular vibrational modes also. So basically, you should prepare the entire modes of vibration and rotation and translation from character table. You should practice these types of questions. You might be given a proper molecule, or this nowadays give you not the molecule, they give you the orbitals. Like this is the orbital, this is the orbital, plus minus plus minus. So they will ask you that what is the symmetry operation and what is the point group here. So you will have to apply the symmetry operations to find the point group. Moving further, we have molecular spectroscopy. Molecular spectroscopy, rotational and vibrational were asked differently earlier, but now they have combined into ROVIB, and they're asking from that. ROVIB is the latest topic from which they are asking the many questions. So you should practice that, in which you have P and R branches. Further, Raman spectroscopy. Raman spectroscopy is not as much. You should know that here you have a concept of that symmetric and anti-symmetric wave function, according to which you have J even or J odd, and you have the formula here is 4J plus 6 into B. This is the rotational Raman. Rotational Raman. So you should check this out because this is nowadays important. One is rho vibrational, and next is rotational Raman, in which you have Stokes and anti-Stokes lines. Now moving further, when you talk about electronic spectroscopy, it refers to the UV visible spectroscopy. Here you can find the questions from term symbols of molecules, diatomic molecules. which are diatomic. Now, if you study how to find the diatomic term symbols, that will be very good because you can expect these questions. And here you can also expect transitions allowed. Now, if you talk about further, you have ESR. From here, they may ask you number of lines. In last GATE exam only, they had asked about the vanadium lines, for which the I value is 7/2, I guess. And if you study further, you also have this gyromagnetic ratio and nuclear magnetic resonance, which is NMR. So basically, you can expect the questions from NMR. But generally, the questions from NMR, if they ask, they will ask only the active or inactive molecule. NMR active or inactive. They will give you options and they will ask you which is active and which is inactive. Now, the questions from line broadening and Einstein coefficients are not predicted to occur, like they are very less chances to get. Further, if you talk about this relation of transition moment integral and molar extension coefficient, actually the transition moment integral, square of transition moment integral is directly proportional to the intensity. And this molar extension coefficient also tells us about the intensity only. So basically, this is the basic relation of transition moment integral is square directly proportional to intensity. And this molar extension coefficient, that is epsilon, is also a unit for intensity. Now, last part in spectroscopy is Moser-Baer spectroscopy. Moser-Baer spectroscopy, you can ask about the isotope shift or topic only, in which you have the opposite trend for Fe and Sn. Here, we talk about S, P, and D electrons. So basically, if D electrons decrease or S electrons increase, there is a change in the iron and Sn. So this is also an interesting and easier part. If you get a question, you can easily attempt this. I will not take up the very deep topics of ESR, Moser-Baer, like there is Kramer's rule and different rules, but you should not go into much deep if you are not prepared properly. Now, talking about thermodynamics, this is the easiest unit you can get from like your class 12th level or class bachelor's level only. So basically, you don't have many complex things from here. First is law of thermodynamics, first, second, third, and zeroth. So basically, these are the 4 laws you need to study properly, and the questions can be asked directly from the laws. Basically, third law is very much asked, in which you have law of entropy, residual entropy. So here you have given different molecules and you are asked to find the residual entropy. Second is thermochemistry. Now, thermochemistry will tell us about the different types of enthalpies. In thermochemistry, we talk about different types of enthalpies, such as formation, combustion, solution, dissolution, or hydration. You also have here is Born-Haber cycle and Hess law. Born-Haber cycle and Hess law. So you can get questions from these two also. Like these two are very important, Hess law and Born-Haber cycle. Talking about further, you get many questions in GATE exam and NET exam regarding the thermodynamic functions and their relations. So you need to remember all the criteria for spontaneity and the relations between the thermodynamic functions. You should also study the Gibbs, Helmholtz, and Maxwell relations. Maxwell square, you know that. You have a Maxwell square, you prepare like this, and you prepare different relations. So you should remember all the thermodynamic functions with their relations, and also the Gibbs, Helmholtz equation. Moving further, you have thermodynamics of mixing, in which you have Gibbs-Duhem equation. You have Gibbs-Duhem equation. So here you can expect a question from the Gibbs-Duhem equation, and chemical potential is also related to Gibbs-Duhem equation only. Now, when we are moving to fugacity and activity, you don't find many questions from activity, but you can find a question from fugacity this time, in which you have relation of finding phi, which is F by P. So basically, nowadays there is an expression in which you find that E integral P minus 1, sorry, Z minus 1 by P into dP. This gives you the value of phi. So basically, nowadays we find a lot of questions regarding this. Talking about the last one, Clausius-Clapeyron equation. This Clausius-Clapeyron equation has a very good and important part in the exams. Here you talk about the phase transformation, and generally the phase transformation we talk about is liquid to gas or solid to gas, because in which we take that volume is gas is greater than volume of liquid and volume of solid. So this is the essential, and the main basic here is dP by dt is equal to ds by dV. I hope the part of thermodynamics is also clear to you. Now, moving further, you also have part of solutions in which solubility, in which you have studied Henry's law, which is the solubility of gases in liquids, and solubility of liquid in liquid is Raoult's law. Here you also have deviations of Raoult's law. Further, you have chemical equilibrium, the basics, different factors on which the chemical equilibrium depends. So these topics are very easy and very short time they can be covered. Like you don't need much time to cover these topics. If I talk about the basic from starting, quantum will take time. Kinetics, the basic kinetics will not take time if you prepare rate laws and complex reactions, plus the topics which I have mentioned. If you prepare electrochemistry, electrochemistry shouldn't also take much time. Like electrochemistry is not very difficult and it should also get completed in very short range. Plus the conductance part of electrochemistry is very easy and interesting. Moving further, you have group theory. In group theory, you should take some time to practice the point groups and character tables. This is time taking because you need to practice a lot. Like group theory, it's all about practice. It's like maths. You have numericals and you're solving the numericals. Moving further, you have spectroscopy. You need to focus on term symbols and rotational vibrational mixture and Raman rotational. So this I have already mentioned. If you get time, you can study ESR and Mosbaer also. NMR you need to study which is active and which is non-active nuclei. Thermodynamics is a very easier unit if you are able to solve. You just need to remember which are the different types of processes like isothermal, adiabatic, right? So you need to remember these things and you need to learn to differentiate isobaric. Moving further, I've told you that Henry's law and Raoult's law, you need to study the deviations in the Raoult's law. Further, the factors which are dependent on the chemical equilibrium. This is a very basic topic. And phase equilibrium. Phase equilibrium, you just need to remember the relation that is F plus C is equal to, sorry, F plus P is equal to C plus 2. So this is the basic phase equilibrium relation, Gibbs phase equilibrium relation. Further, you need to study CO2 and H2O, in which you give this curve for one, you will get this curve. And for the other, this is the curve for liquid to, sorry, this curve is from liquid to solid. So basically here also you will find the same curve, only the slope of the curve changes in CO2 and H2O. Further, if you're studying statistical thermodynamics, if you get time to study, you should focus on statistical thermodynamics at the last because this is a very new topic in masters and you might don't have any basics about this. So you need to study partition functions, translational partition function, rotational partition function, vibrational transition function. If you're not able to study much, you should study just about the ensembles, basically macro canonical, which is the most important. What are the three types of ensembles? What is macrocanonical and deep? And Boltzmann distribution, and also the laws of statistical thermodynamics. Clear? Now, if you're moving further, you have solid state. Now, talking about the solid state, if you talk about solid state, this is the basic solid state that is crystal systems and lattices. That you have 7 crystal systems and 14 Brevis lattices, and crystal packing, that is your packing fraction. You can get many basic questions from this part in GATE and NET exam. NET exam, you will always find the questions from this. That is sure. 1 or 2 questions will be very basic from solid state chemistry. Further, if you get time, you can study these 3 units. You talk about the crystal defects and band theory and metal semiconductors. This you can study if you get a time at the last. So major should be the focus on the crystal system and packing fraction. Second is the major unit, this Brevis lattices. You get the coefficient D. This D is interplanar spacing. So here you should have the idea of what is interplanar spacing because this is a very important and Bragg's law in which you study the Bragg's law of X-ray crystallography. This is 2D sine theta is equal to n lambda. So basically these numericals are very common nowadays in which you are given different systems according to the crystal systems of 7 and you are needed to find the value of D. If you get time, you can do crystal defects and band theory in metal semiconductors. But you should focus on ionic crystals and structures of AX, AX2, AXB3 in which you get spinels, perovskites. Last time in GATE, there was a question regarding perovskites in which there were 4 options. You had to choose 2. That was a MSQ. Last year in GATE exam, the question was there. And talking about spinels, you have a structure of AB2O4. Moving further, you have different structures like fluorite, antifluorite, rock salt, or cesium chloride. You should remember that one thing is, the major thing here is that in this you have CSCl, which is not BCC. This is the major confusion. It is SCC in nature. And you can get this question sometime, which is a very confusing question. And most of the people think that cesium chloride crystallizes in BCC. Moving further, you have adsorption and adsorption, which you have physisorption, chemisorption. You should know the basic difference. What is chemisorption, physisorption? Isotherms. Basically, BET isotherm is the most important nowadays. You can get any question from BET in which you have these constants C and Z. So you should remember this. This is a multi-layer adsorption isotherm. Langmuir also is asked, and if Langmuir is asked, it's like bonus for you because Langmuir is very easy. It's just theta is equal to Kp by 1 plus Kp. And if you get dissociative Langmuir, it will be 1 by N. Moving further, there is a Langmuir-Hinchenwood mechanism, and there is also another LA radial, but you need to only study Langmuir-Hinchenwood majorly, in which you get only only both of the gas particles will get adsorbed, and you need to find the mechanism of the entire reaction. Suppose A gets A2 plus B2 gets absorbed on a surface and form AB. So basically, this is the mechanism you need to tell and find the rate of the expression. So moving further, you have surface tension. What is surface tension? Units of surface tension, viscosity. The factors on which viscosity and surface tension depend. This parts lie in liquids. And the last topic is colloids, in which you have different colloids. And like questions are not much asked from colloids part. You can get questions from missile, which is CMC and craft temperature. And you can also find the questions from polymers, that is macromolecules, to find the mass average. You have different mass averages like Mn, Mw, Mz. So basically, you can expect the questions from these mass averages. And the last part is radioactivity. At the last, if you get time, you can prepare the radioactivity topic, or like if you even don't prepare, you will get only one question. And if you're preparing the other topics properly, you have the option to skip it or prepare at the end. So basically, the major topics for physical chemistry I have discussed, how you can proceed and what you can do with your preparation with the syllabus.